Good morning, and welcome to PZ Lamb's Little World. So, Meghan Merkal's now married into the royal family. Will she meet the Reptilian High Council? Will there be something? Is there something more sinister to the royal family? They obviously own a big chunk of the world, and they're also part of the ruling class, so they always seem to have an opinion. It's kind of like a sort of in-state type right or something. You know, but if you carry something like you're a lord or something like that, it basically gives you certain rights that come to that title. And because the thing to do with bloodlines, they always have that. But I've been seeing some strange things in my mind, like Meghan clones or variations of her basically, in these giant human-sized vials. I think they're cryo tanks, but they're pretty much like something from the movies. And I was, basically the information I got was that because in the past they had problems with genetics problems, didn't they? So what they do is they grow a child based on the genetic matching, and they basically see if there's any abnormalities that are produced by it. So, and there's also this there's also the TaylorMade, so you can have TaylorMade royals. So you might even bring back someone from the past, you know, you might have say King Henry or something. You can find some DNA directly from him. I know that it's his descendants, but what you could do is you could actually bring back like the copy of him. So it'd be somewhere between a clone and not a clone. So it's just basically an engineered human, basically. So based on the genetic matching, so they either have a natural birth or some type of IVF, and then they could put the child they want into her, so it wouldn't matter. I mean, I doubt that's what they'd want. It just seems to be like a scenario in the back of my head, but that might be just a sort of fantasy there. However, I'm not really prompting these to come to the foreground. It's not like I've read something to do with cryogenics and cloning and things like that. And genetic engineering and other things. There's no triggers there. Normally, if you'd have triggers, if you do something in the daytime, it may pop out later on at night or something like that. So it'd be interesting to see what happens, and if she gets taken into the underbelly of something more darker. We just have to see, really. Mixing races, though, isn't really a big thing for the royals. They have done that. They've just made sure that they're also being related to them. So there's cousins sort of thing. And the idea is just that you have these royals in different countries that have some connection to each other. Because there's also what people have is a collective consciousness, and they have what they call ancestral memories. So if you have so you're like your family, you have a connection to them, even if you're not with them, because you kind of resonate at the same frequency, part of your DNA. And I think that's bringing unity between countries. You do want to resonate with the same sort of power structure. So it's like a soul force, maybe you could think of it, or something like that. I don't know. An energy that exists collectively within the family group. So that's one thing. And I saw this embryo, and they were, this scientist basically was like putting fibre optics into its spine, and he was cutting it up so it fit into the spinal column. So it's I guess it's an android of some kind. It's human, or it's not quite cyborg, because I think it's a lot more going to be more human than. The thing is, a cyborg doesn't really need a lot. You can have a robotic eye and you'd be a cyborg. But the android's mainly a human brain into a robot body at some point or less. Yeah, so I think it's the other way around. Well, yeah, because an android is the composite is less than 20% human in a robotic structure. So there we go. This is all this information just coming through. I had some interesting dreams. The first dream I had, well, it was actually I was awake. I was going to go to sleep. I laid in my bed, and I felt like something put his hand on my chest. Now I just laid there with my eyes closed, and so I thought, just what you do is just pretend you're asleep, even though you're not. It's a bit like sort of things you play with kids, really. A game whereby, well, apart from I'm not going to be trying to surprise the entity, I'm just measuring what's going on in the room while looking like I'm falling asleep. And it was very little. So maybe some of these beings that come to Earth are very small. Their genetic makeup so different to ours. They're silicon based and so on, or even their brain is more scattered around their body, that they might be a lot smaller. So this thing was, I would say it's an imp or something like that, or a type of elf thing. It just had, well, no, it must be more imp. Looks more kind of elemental in its sort of structure, and they do have these kind of typical big black eyes. Maybe it was a bit like from Guardians of the Galaxy, a bit like that group, but it wasn't made of wood. It had quite a thin structure to it, and I guess it had more pointed type fingers or its hands. But I could just, with my eyes closed, I was just focusing what I could see. It's a bit like you can make out shadows and shapes and stuff like that. So I was seeing what would come into my mind. Like I could pick it up with my third eye. That's what I was really sort of focusing on. And so there was some entity there with say he had fairly big eyes to him and a very slim, small face. I mean, you could probably he's probably like a baby's basically. I could put the head in my hand. So us as a species, we might be completely giants. We are the giants compared to other things out there. Most things I've seen, shadows and stuff, have been around 5 foot. So they're in the 5 foot mark. I'm 6'1", so I must seem a lot bigger. I mean, some humans, I'm twice the size of them anyway. Especially if they're like 7 stone, and I'm 18 or something. 18 going on 20. I'm probably closer to 18 now. I've probably gone down there. But I'm not vain about my weight or anything. And so I had another dream. So obviously this entity. So I guess there's some race that exists out there, interdimensional race. There was another thing. I don't know if it's called imp. I don't know. Anyway, so I had this other experience whereby I was having a dream and I was in a kind of like, I believed it was my flat. I was told to believe almost it was my flat, but it wasn't. I knew it looked like a hospital bed. It just looked a bit clinically clean, the room. And basically I was told that my neighbour's next door playing the music, and he was playing my music. This guy doesn't, he plays his like reggae and stuff. He doesn't play sort of gothic, heavy metal, stroke, alternative, whatever my mood is at a particular time. But reggae is mainly his thing, and I've never heard him play any type of metal. It was very strange because, so for some reason he was playing my music, and I was under the belief that he was next door, when actually it wasn't. I was in some sort of hospital or something. So it's like a montauk experience or something. I think it has a human element to it, but there's also something that's a bit alien about it as well. So I think there is some abduction type stuff happening in my dreams, and I'm just being like told it's somewhere else, or told to think other things, and then as I wake up, it starts to fall apart because you're more conscious of your environment, and you're thinking, why am I living in some futuristic hospital and being told it's where I live? So yeah, it's just a very odd experience. So I think there might be some implant stuff as well. Like a lot of stuff coming to my consciousness seems to sort of come in about a sort of few seconds really, and it's stuff that I don't even know, so it's just sort of come bubbling up. Anyway, this is PC signing off, and speak to you soon.